Transactional analysis refers to the psychoanalytical process where interpersonal behavior are studied, or say it as social psychological model which talks about or deals with growth and changes of a person. Eric Berne founded this transactional analysis. Berne analyzed it in 1961 and which is based on Sigmund Freud's contribution. Transactional analysis theory can also be explained as theory of personality, theory of communication, or it is a study of pattern or of someone's behavior, especially when the behavior is repetitive behavior. When people repeats particular thing again and again, then it comes in transactional, or it is a part of study of transactional analysis. Transactional analysis mainly involve Johari window, ego states, life scripts, life position, and transaction. And one part of it is transactional analysis, ego states, which we are going to study today. Transactional analysis is a model for explaining why and how people think like they do, why they are thinking like this, why they are acting like this, or people act like they do. The interaction that people have with each other, एक दूसरे से कैसे बातचीत करते हैं, किस तरह से वो कोई भी काम करते हैं या उनका सोच इस पर्टिकुलर वे में क्यों है. That is analyzed with the help of transactional analysis. Actually, transactional analysis say that each of us is really three people. When people interact with each other, the social transactions get created. The transaction shows how people are behaving with each other and responding to the communication made by them. And transactional analysis deals with such transaction. The transaction or the communication are affected by people, and it also affects people. It is also affected by various psychological factors like perception, attitude, learning, personality, etc. Behavior of one person affects and is affected by behavior of others. And when we interact, when we transact with each other, we are three at a time. Each person has three states at a time, and one person is composed of three people. जैसा अक्सर हम बात करते हैं कि हर व्यक्ति में एक बच्चा होता है, हर व्यक्ति में एक बड़ा होता है. सो ट्रांजैक्शनल एनालिसिस में बेसिस वही है कि हर व्यक्ति में एक्चुअली कई और व्यक्ति होते हैं. दैट इज व्हाई इट इज सेड ईच ऑफ अस इज रियली थ्री पीपल. इन ईच ऑफ अस थ्री पीपल आर देयर. व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, then it becomes very important to study behavior of people so that it can be improved. Analysis and improvement in behavior will help in improvement of interpersonal relationship. So as I said, our brain are three. Berne explained that, and our brain determines what we think and how we act. जो भी काम करते हैं, जो भी हमारी सोच है, वो हमारा brain decide करता है. Brain acts as a tape recorder while recording events and associated feelings. Everything that gets recorded in our brain, कोई भी event होगा, whatever feelings we have, it all gets recorded in our brain. So brain acts as tape recorder and it records all the events that are taking place surrounding us, in our surrounding, in our environment, consciously or unconsciously. We all record all those things in our brain and feeling associated with those events. जैसे किसी ने मुझे डांटा तो वो एक इवेंट हो गया, और उस टाइम पर मेरी फीलिंग्स क्या थी वो भी रिकॉर्ड होंगी. या मैंने कोई काम किया, मुझे अप्रिसिएशन मिला, उस टाइम पर मेरी फीलिंग क्या होंगी. तो वो इवेंट और एसोसिएटेड फीलिंग सभी को रिकॉर्ड करता है. एंड इट हैज थ्री डिस्टिंक्ट पार्ट्स. And these three distinct parts are called ego states. These three ego states are parent, adult, and child ego state. Transactional analysis is based on ego states or PAC model. PAC is parent, adult, and child. PAC model. जो सजेस्ट करता है कि 3 ईगो स्टेट हर व्यक्ति में होती हैं, जो मैंने प्रीवियस अभी थोड़ी देर पहले कहा कि हर व्यक्ति में 3 व्यक्ति होते हैं और ये इन्फ्लुएंस होते हैं, ये तीनों ईगो स्टेट्स इन्फ्लुएंस होती हैं जो भी हमारे सराउंडिंग में एक्टिविटीज और इवेंट्स चल रहे होते हैं. These are grouped. These ego states are formed on the basis of grouping of thoughts, emotion, and behavior. So let us talk about these ego states. Three modes of behavior are: we may act as parent, we may act as adult, and we may act as child. These are the three modes of behavior. जब भी हम behave करते हैं, हम इन तीन में से कोई एक पर्टिकुलर वे में बिहेव करते हैं और जो डिसाइडेड नहीं होता है. It can be a reaction to whatever is going around us, or it can be reaction of the ego state that the other person with whom we are transacting. Transacting means communicating. Why communication is called transaction? क्योंकि communication में भी give and take है. Just like any other transaction, accounts में जैसे हम transaction पढ़ते हैं, like money is given and in return we get some commodity or some service. So that is called a transaction. In communication, we are giving a message and in return, we will receive a message. That is why it is called transaction. So whenever transactions are there, whenever communication is there, then we act in particular ego state, and that depends. So what these ego states are? These ego states are felt state of being and not just roles. They are different from roles. I may be a parent, but I can act as an adult. I may be a child or I can act as a parent. तो ये जो ईगो स्टेट्स हैं, ये रोल्स नहीं हैं. जो रोल्स हम किसी पर्टिकुलर सिचुएशन में निभा रहे हैं, लाइक इफ a particular person is father, then he has to act as parent. It is not compulsory. The person can act as an adult with his or her own child. और जो जिस चाइल्ड से बात कर रहे हैं, वो हो सकता है चाइल्ड की तरह रिएक्ट ही ना करे, वो एक पेरेंट की तरह या एक एडल्ट की तरह रिएक्ट करे. सो दीज आर नॉट रोल्स, these are states, feelings जिस स्टेट में होती है, that is ego state. So let us talk about parent ego state. Parent ego state is a recorded form of ideas, notions that we have in our mind, and this start on developing since we start growing. जब से हम बड़े होना शुरू करते हैं, मीन्स हमारे बचपन से ही जैसे हम अपने पेरेंट्स को देखते हैं, उनको लाइक उनकी सारी एक्टिविटीज को, इवेंट्स को हम रिकॉर्ड करते हैं, एंड दैट plays an important role in developing parent ego state in any person. So parent ego state is collection of pre-recorded, prejudged prejudices, codes for living. These are having some codes that we believe we should have. As we grow, we adopt ideas, beliefs, feelings, behavior from our parents, and all these things become integral part of personality of a person. So this ego state, this part of personality decides without reasoning how to react in situation, because it follows some pre-recorded codes. It does not take eye on fact. It does not take into consideration the fact, but it decides without reasoning on reacting on certain situation. These can be over controlling or oppressive or life giving or supportive and tender. On that basis, it can be a nurturing parent ego state, spoiling parent, controlling or structuring parent, and critical parent. Generally, parent ego state has certain characteristics like judgmental, they are rule makers, they are moralizing, they protect the people who are working under them, just like parents do for their child or children, and they think that they are indispensable. Like parents are indispensable for all of us. In same way, the person who is having parent ego state consider that he or she is indispensable for the subordinates. These ego states treat others like children. They have some prejudicial views which are not based on some sort of logic, and these views can be on things like religion, dress, what religion to follow, what traditions to follow, how we should work, which product we should use, money, how money should be earned or saved or invested, about raising children. They can have certain views about companies. These are some as I said, these are some pre-recorded, pre-judged thing about. They decide things without using facts or information. When when parents are supportive, they are nurturing, and when they are not supportive, they are called critical parents. They can be controlling or spoiling. The next ego state is adult ego state. Adult is a person who uses all the information, all the facts which are available. Like the all those people who are learning with the help of this video, they are adult. So they search different information available on net or on different sources to take any decision. So this is one characteristic of adult. They have thoughts, they have feeling, they have attitude, behavioral patterns based on objective analysis of information, data or facts. Whatever data, whatever information is available, they use that data and then they decide how to react, how to form their attitudes, how to behave in particular situation. Adults are generally authentic, they are direct, they are rational. Rational means they decide things on the basis of information and fact. They are reality based. They are not daydreamer type of people. Obviously, that can be a thing, but they are not. They are more of reality based. They are more of practical and problem solving, and they consider all the human beings which are there who are working with them. They are as equal worthy and responsible as they consider themselves. They make decision based on logic, computation and probabilities, etc., and not on the basis of emotion, which can be in the case of parent ego state or child ego state, that they can make decision on the basis of emotion towards anything. But adult ego state, the ego state, the person who is having this particular type of ego state, they take decision on the basis of logics. They This ego state is formed through one's own experience. They are having their experience, and on the basis of those experiences, this ego state is developed, and this is updated continuously on the basis of information. New information is there, then that ego state will be updated. People gather more information, analyze things carefully, alternatives, logics, etc., and do not make assumption. They are like human computers. We can consider adult ego state as human computer. Computers generally work on the data which is available. They gather data. They use that for making decision on the basis of logics and not on the basis of emotions. The third ego state is child ego state. Child ego state is thoughts, feeling, attitude, behavioral pattern based on childlike emotion, like impulses, feelings that we have experienced. Like child, if you observe some child, then they can be made really easily happy. If you bring them the chocolate of their choice or toy of their choice, they will be happy. If you say no for like a simple thing, a toy or a chocolate, they will be angry with you. So they are very impulsive. They can be again modified easily, or they can be manipulated easily. The child ego state is like that. Childlike examples are impulsive, they can be self-centered, they can be angry, fearful, happy, pleasure seeking, rebellious, or curious and eager to please. Curious, they always try to find answers to their question. um, Eager to please, they can be fearful also. Example हम दे सकते हैं, whenever boss calls us, whenever boss give us a call, or his secretary or someone gives us a call that boss wants you in cabin. तो जब तक हम केबिन में नहीं पहुंच जाते, हमें कुछ अजीब सा फीलिंग, एंजाइटी सॉर्ट ऑफ फीलिंग होता है, और वी स्टार्ट रिमेम्बरिंग वट एवर वी हैव डन इन लास्ट फ्यू डेज, कि कुछ गड़बड़ तो नहीं हुआ था, कुछ गलती तो नहीं हुई थी, कोई टास्क बॉस ने दिया हो जो कंप्लीट नहीं किया हो. सो ऑल दीज थिंग्स आर they depict child ego state of a person. So when this ego state is hateful or loving, it's impulsive or spontaneous, it can be playful, it can all these things are there. It is called natural child. When it is thoughtful and creative, it is called little professor. So child ego state can be cooperative, it can be complainant or resistant, it can be spontaneous child, or it can be immature child. So all these three ego states, generally whenever these ego states are depicted, it is depicted in the form of parent, adult and child. The concept that can be given behind depicting these three ego states as parent, adult and child, you can see in this picture as well, that parent is adult is in between parent and child. So generally it is said that parent or child, they are opposite to each other, and adult tries to balance these two ego states. So every person has their favorite preferred ego state. हर व्यक्ति का अपना एटीट्यूड और अपना बिहेवियरल पैटर्न एक अकॉर्डिंग टू देयर प्रेफर्ड ईगो स्टेट्स रहता है. जैसे हम पेरेंट्स, अपने पेरेंट्स को ही याद करें, दे जनरली ट्राई टू बी प्रोटेक्टिव, दे जनरली ट्राई टू बी कंट्रोलिंग. बट अ फ्रेंड ऑफ योर एज, वो प्रोटेक्टिव और वो लाइक आपको कंट्रोल करने की कोशिश बहुत कम करता है. सो इट कैन बी ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ एज, और it can be on the basis of position that a person is having. कई बार एक छोटा बच्चा भी हमेशा एक पेरेंट की तरह बिहेव करता है, और कई बार एक अडल्ट भी एक चाइल्ड की तरह बिहेव करता है, बिकॉज दे फील कंफर्टेबल इन दैट ईगो स्टेट. सो एवरीवन हैज देयर प्रेफर्ड ईगो स्टेट. इट हैज नथिंग टू डू विद एज, कि एक अडल्ट ही अडल्ट की तरह बिहेव करेगा या एक छोटा बच्चा ही बच्चे की तरह बिहेव करेगा. It can be anything, like a child can behave like adult, or a parent or a father of a son can behave like a child or an adult. Why these ego states, understanding these ego states are important, because human interactions are based on that, and these ego states are used for analyzing human interaction. So we have been saying transactional analysis. So what is transaction in this particular thing? Interaction को हम transaction क्यों कह रहे हैं? क्योंकि हर interaction एक transaction है. Transaction means give and take type of thing. So whenever we are sending message, we are getting a message in return. So it is interaction. It can be between two people, two groups, one to a group. It can be anything. So it is a transaction which is analyzed using these ego states. How people say something and how the others are receiving it. It is important. लोग क्या सुनते हैं, कैसे सुनते हैं और क्या समझते हैं, ये उतना ही जरूरी है जितना कि ये जानना कि क्या कहा गया है. So every transaction has three parts: what you say, whatever the person is saying, and the second is the response, what you expect to receive. Like if I am saying something, that is I am saying with my activated ego state, and I am expecting a reply on from particular ego state. So one is what you say, second is what you expect to receive, and third is what actually you are receiving. What you expect to receive and what you actually receiving can be different. So on the basis of that, what you are saying, what you are expecting to receive, and what you actually receive, there can be three types of communication: complementary, crossed, ulterior. These are the three types of communication or interaction which can be classified on the basis of what you say, what you expect to receive, and what you actually receive. And every transaction is made up of stimulus and response. Stimulus is what you are giving and what you are receiving back. So complementary transaction, these are the most effective sort of transaction. These are successful transaction, and these are generally, as you can see, these are generally from the same ego state. The message sent to a particular ego state, expected reply from that ego state, and actually receiving reply. Adult is sending message to adult and expecting a reply from adult. Same thing is happening. Adult ही जवाब दे रहा है. So these are complementary transaction. These are when two people's ego state are sympathetic or complementary to each other. What you say and response you expect to receive and response actually received are aligned. They are in same, parallel arrows are there, parallel communication arrows are there. The example is like the adult is saying to adult, what time do you have? The adult is replying clearly saying that it is 11:15. So on both people are operating from same ego state. There can be 9 complementary transactions. They are like parent adult, adult adult transaction, adult parent transaction, adult child transaction, parent parent transaction, parent adult, parent child, child parent, child adult, child child. What does this mean? Adult is sending message to adult and adult is giving reply. Here child is sending message to parent and parent is giving reply to a child. Another example of another example of complementary transaction can be like parent is saying to child, you are late again, and child is replying, I'm sorry, it won't happen again. Means a child, he is giving excuse. Parent is in a way trying to scold the other person, and the other person as a child accepting, okay, I have committed a mistake. Boss ने कहा अपने सबॉर्डिनेट को कि तुम फिर से लेट हो. किसी भी तरीके से सबॉर्डिनेट रिप्लाई कर सकता है, लेकिन जब देखा कि पेरेंट एज अ पेरेंट डांटा जा रहा है तो उसने एज अ चाइल्ड ही रिप्लाई किया कि उसने अपनी गलती मानी और अपोलोजाइज किया. हाउ कैन वी आइडेंटिफाई दैट वी आर इन कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री ट्रांजेक्शन स्टेज? Simple. When you are feeling okay with transaction, when you are feeling okay with communication, like जिस तरह से आप मैसेज भेज रहे हैं और जो रिप्लाई आप एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं, that you are getting the same reply. When you consider, when you think that you are seen, and the other person is feeling what you are saying and understanding what you are saying, and the most important thing, the conversation can go for forever. There is no sort of fighting or miscommunication sort of thing in complementary transaction. तो जब भी ये लगता है कि सामने वाला हमें समझ रहा है और जो हम जवाब एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं सेम जगह सेम तरीके से हमें जवाब मिल रहा है, then that is complementary transaction. Cross transaction, when person one says something from different ego state and receiving reply from another ego state. 3 or more ego states are involved. मैंने एक्सपेक्ट किया था, मैंने एक अडल्ट से सवाल पूछा था, अडल्ट से ही जवाब एक्सपेक्ट किया था, बट आई एम गेटिंग रिप्लाई फ्रॉम सम अदर ईगो स्टेट. लाइक transaction response is addressed to an ego state different from the one which started the stimulus, and generally these are they disrupt communication. A cross transaction occurs when an expected response is made to the stimulus, an appropriate ego state is activated, and lines of communication between the ego state is crossed. Like you can see in the image, the adult is saying something to adult and parent is replying to a child, and these lines are crossing each other. Interaction, response, action not regarded as appropriate or expected from another person. Cross communication arrows, communication broke down generally take place. Like same question, boss is asking to subordinate, what time do you have? And one, as a parent, as someone who his rule maker, says there is a clock on the wall, why don't you figure it out yourself? एक पेरेंट जैसे बच्चे को बोलता है, देखो ना सामने घड़ी लगी है, देखो कितना बजा है. Is it important? Like they are trying to say, is it important to ask me each and everything? You can do it the things yourself. You are grown up. That is the thing. So cross transaction. Another example is one parent is scolding to child ego state. Boss ने एक child ego state के व्यक्ति को एड्रेस करते हुए कहा, you are late again. Then adult, after collecting all the information data, reply is, yeah, I know I am late, but I had a flat tire. Gave a response, gave a reason for his late coming. The ulterior transaction, these are the most confusing sort of transaction. These are transactions where a verbal conversation occurs in parallel with an unspoken psychological transaction. And these two or more ego states are involved. One controls body, other ego state is operating in the background. So what is happening? Actually, in this particular, it appears that one ego state is sending message to another ego state, but actually in background the other ego state is working. Like interaction, response, action, which are different from those explicitly stated. जो clearly कहा जा रहा है, explicitly कहा जा रहा है, उससे बहुत different है. जैसे I asked someone, आइसक्रीम खाना है? It is simple clear question, आइसक्रीम खाना है. Actually, I want him to offer कि चलो आइसक्रीम खाते हैं. It is not simple question. Like in this example, how about coming up to my room and listening to some music? Actually, adult is saying to adult, but actually the child ego state wants the other person to come and enjoy music with the person. So these are all about the different ego state, the transaction, and why studying transactional analysis is important, because it can help you in resolving many conflict. So that's all for now. Thank you.